People who cut off their families, what finally made you walk away for good? I was 26 when I realized my mother had been stealing my identity since I was 14. It started with a phone call from a collection agency about a credit card I'd never opened. Then came the threatening letters. 6 accounts, $43,000 in debt, all in my name. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She just stared at me across our kitchen table, the same table where she'd taught me to write my name in kindergarten. I needed it for us, she said, lighting a cigarette even though she knew I had asthma. For this house, for your college. You think all that was free? I'd worked 2 jobs through college, thinking my scholarships weren't enough. Meanwhile, she'd been vacationing in Cancun on credit cards with my name. That night, I pulled my complete credit report. The devastation was worse than I imagined. My credit score was 417. There were 3 payday loans, a repossessed car, and a foreclosed vacation property in Florida I'd never heard of. Each item had my forged signature, a signature I'd watched her practice on napkins for years, thinking it was just her obsessive perfectionism. What hurt most wasn't the debt. It was finding evidence of the double life she'd built with my identity. Designer clothes, jewelry store accounts, a membership to a country club where she'd told them I was her successful entrepreneur daughter who's always traveling. My entire adult struggle had funded her fantasy life. I gathered everything and drove to the police station. The officer looked bored as I laid out my documents. Family fraud is complicated, he said. Most victims don't follow through with prosecution. I'm not most victims. 3 days later, I sat across from a detective. To file charges, I'd need to formally declare I was not a willing participant. My mother would face felony charges. Prison time was likely. Are you sure you want to do this? The detective asked. Once we start, there's no turning back. I thought about my childhood. Mom was a single parent who worked night shifts. She'd leave me dinners with little notes. Study hard, and reach for the stars. I believed we were a team, struggling together. As I hesitated, my phone buzzed with a text from her. I've always sacrificed everything for you. If you do this, you're dead to me. I stared at those words for a long time. My entire life, I'd been taught that family loyalty came before everything. Before truth, before self-respect, before justice. I looked up at the detective and slid my phone across the desk so he could see her message. That, I said, pointing to the text, is why I'm sure. The arrest happened on a Tuesday. I wasn't there, but neighbors called to tell me. They described her screaming my name as they put her in the cruiser, yelling that I was the ungrateful one, that I'd betrayed her after all she'd done. My father, who'd left when I was 3, called that night. You don't turn on family, he said. No matter what. Where were you when she was destroying my life? I asked. The line went dead. My aunt showed up at my apartment, banging on the door until neighbors threatened to call security. She has cancer, she shouted through the door. Did you know that? She needed that money for treatments. I didn't respond. Later, I called her doctor. There was no cancer. Never had been. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for Thursday. As I walked into the courthouse, my phone flooded with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Cousins calling me heartless. Uncles questioning what kind of person prosecutes their own mother. My grandmother, who I'd thought was dead, left a voicemail saying I'd never been worthy of the family name. I sat alone on a wooden bench, waiting to be called in to testify. That's when I spotted him across the hall. My older brother Michael, who'd disappeared 10 years ago after a massive fight with Mom. He looked different, healthier, steadier. He sat down beside me without a word. How did you know? I asked. I've been monitoring public records with your name, he said quietly. I've been waiting for this day for years. I turned to face him, confusion washing over me. What do you mean? He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo of a document. A credit card application from 12 years ago. With my name. Only I would have been 14 then. You weren't the first, he said. And if you don't finish this, you won't be the last. Before I could respond, the bailiff called my name. As I stood to enter the courtroom, Michael grabbed my wrist. There's something else you need to know, he whispered. Something much worse than credit fraud. I couldn't fit what happens next in this short video. Watch the rest.